Oh, this is the last one. We'll just take a personal question. We'll get out of here. It's from David Wellman. He says, personal question, have you given up on a future Mrs. Bill Whittle? I haven't. There's nothing that would make me happier, honestly. People want to know, why were you never married? Never met the person I wanted to marry before. The biggest problem, of course, is that I'm fishing for freshwater trout out in the middle of the Gulf Stream, 400 miles off the coast of North Carolina. And there are not a whole lot of freshwater trout out there in the middle of the North Atlantic. It's really tough being out here socially for a lot of reasons. That's it primarily. That's the number one reason. At some level, being a conservative in Hollywood's kind of like being gay. 9 out of 10 of the people who you think you might be interested in or just want nothing to do with you. They just utterly despise you and they don't know anything about you. It's the demonization is so pervasive that when I'm going to hopefully be interviewing Dinesh D'Souza on his new book, which I just read, and I just was on the road for 4 or 5 days, and it just was so clear to me. I had the flight left at 6 a.m. I'm getting down to the Mrs. Whittle part of it in a second, but the flight left at 6 a.m. I had to be up at 3:30, and I read the first chapter of Dinesh's book, and I wanted to take it with me and read it on the plane, and I put it in my briefcase, and I remember taking the cover off because I didn't want the person sitting next to me give me a lot of grief about it. Stealing America, Dinesh D'Souza, Hillary, and Obama on the cover. I just take the cover off. I don't, it's just a go with the fabric cover and stuff, and I'm putting this thing away, and I just thought, my God, honestly, that's how pervasive I am. I am peeling the cover off of this book because I don't want the grief or the looks or the faces or the whatever from somebody who I'm sitting next to. And I just stopped myself. It's like, good God. So needless to say, I put the cover right back on again. But I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's dating out here is like, it's hard to explain because I'm certainly not embarrassed about this. To say the least, I'm extremely proud of it, but I can't lead with it because you almost have to sit there for an hour so that people realize that you're actually a really nice guy and that you really do care about people and things before you let them know what you do, because out here and all across the country, it's been so effectively demonized that people just assume that you just, that you hate gays, that you hate, immigrants, and you hate black people, and you hate all this. No, the whole takes me an hour to convince people I'm actually trying to improve people's lives. I think it's just a better way to go. It's and this is why the Republicans in Congress don't stand up to him. I mean, if a guy like me is feeling this kind of oppression and this kind of got to be careful, but it's like we're treated like we're Nazis, and it's repulsive to me. And when I catch myself doing it, I just get out there and start swinging the flaming sword. But it is overwhelming how bad it is here in LA. And of all the things that just cause me enormous concern, I think the thing that concerns me the most, and everything concerns me these days, but when I hear things about like Texas turning blue or Idaho, getting more and more liberal, it's like, my God, I know what's happening. All these people in these liberal states like California have ruined California, and so they go to places that weren't ruined economically, like Texas, and the first thing they do is they pursue the money and the freedom that allowed Texas to be so successful. The first thing they do is they move out there, and the second thing they do is start voting like they voted back in California to screw it up. They're just so damn stupid, these people. And they're so selfish, and they're so sure of themselves. And so when I hear about things like Texas, and so I was just in Austin, and Austin is just nuts. Where do you go? It's just hard. And I did the kind of movie star thing for a while, and I'd just gotten a little bit of attention and a little, and I wasn't like super science geek anymore, and I had a little charisma and dated a few actresses, and that was, at the time it was really fun, but looking back on it, I realized I'm mostly just trying to prove to myself that I could do it, because I was such a dork for, most of my life, and so unknown, just out there in the middle of nowhere and just doing these kind of, nuts and bolts jobs in the entertainment industry, and had all this stuff to say, and nobody particularly cared to listen. And so, yeah, I'm just at the point now where it's just, I don't know. On some level, I just am not worried about it anymore. I'm just, get up and do my work. But I'll tell you, since you asked, it is really, really difficult to do this alone. And I don't mean just alone in terms of no allies. I mean, it's difficult to go out there and fight these battles and deal with the things that are said about me that are never about what I say. They're never a refutation of the arguments I'm making. There's these personal attacks and stuff. And it's just tough. It's tough to go out there without the support structure. So, but what's the alternative, right? I mean, it's just you just can't give up. You just can't. You just have to get up and keep doing it. But yeah, since you asked, it'd be the best thing that can happen to me. I just am beginning to feel like, it's not like there aren't any conservative women in Southern California. It's just that they're very hard to find, and the other thing too is, I started so late in life. I'm such a late bloomer that it's a little tough sometimes. The people who are my actual calendar age, and they have fully grown kids who are 25, 30 years old and that kind of thing, and it kind of feels a bit like, we're entering our golden age now. It's Act 3, and we're kind of right off into the sunset, and I raise the kids, and I've done the whole family thing and all that stuff, and I'm looking for a companion and it's like, I don't feel that way. I can't argue with my physical age of 56, but I don't feel like I'm getting ready to start Act 3. I feel like I'm getting ready to start Act 2. I feel like that Act 1 sets up the story, and the plot point at the end of Act 1 launches us into this adventure, and I still feel like the quest and the battles and the dark night of the soul, I feel like all that stuff's way ahead of me, and I feel like I'm a long way away from this kind of golden years kind of thing that I occasionally get with people who have led a personal life that I haven't led yet, and maybe I won't, but I don't know. You get the idea. It's on some level, I'm a displaced person, I guess. I think that's one of the reasons why. I think it's one of the reasons why I'm able to see things maybe on a level that maybe not everybody sees things. I'm just kind of I'm a displaced person. I feel like I was born for another age, and I feel like I was born in the future, actually, not in the past. I feel like, but the future that I thought was going to happen, the future back there on that wall back there, it's not going to happen unless we make it happen. And I don't know. It's a little. It's not a little. It's. I don't know. It's starting to sound a little whiny. It's a challenging place to be under the red eye of Mordor. But this is where I need to be, and this is where I choose to be, and I won't be here forever. But I will eventually move back to America. But I can't do that right now. And we have a lot of work to do between now and then, and this is where I need to be. This is where the stories are told, and this is where this is where it's happening. And the last thing I'll say about it is it's almost overwhelming to face just the magnitude of the cultural tide. I remember watching. I'm not a huge Seth MacFarlane fan by any means, but I saw him at a Bernie Sanders rally, and I just, it's like, here's he's probably worth $100 million, and this guy's up there supporting a guy who wants to take 97% of what he makes, and he knows he's not going to pay 97% of what he makes. And I just think, and Ben Affleck and Kanye West and all these people all the time, and here's Katy Perry getting, all these pictures tweeted out with Hillary Clinton, and it's like, my God, my God, my God, what on earth are we going to do against this tide, I think it's like, it's that line, I guess it's Theoden's line in Helm's Deep, it's like, what can men do against such relentless hate? And it's just, and it's just, I'll wrap this on a kind of an upbeat note. I don't know if I mentioned a while ago, on my bedroom wall I have a picture of Aragorn, and it's a painting of him looking indecisive, like this is the moment he has to decide whether he's going to be a king or a ranger. And I have the sword Anduril on the wall, a replica sword from the movie The Sword, the Flame of the West, and it's the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning. And I think on some level I need to be reminded, and I guess we all need to be reminded, that the stories that had happy endings, like World War II, for example, when you were in it, you didn't know it. It's possible. In order for that to have the kind of meaning that it should have, the kind of mystical meaning that kind of win would have, you have to have this dark night of the soul. You just have to. You have to have this sense of futility and despair, because this is the test, right? I mean, for all of us, it's not just about me. This is the test. The test is not whether or not you can get up when you're fighting, or get up and fight when you're winning, or not even if you can get up and fight when things are not going your way. The question is, can you get up and fight when it appears hopeless? Can you get up and fight when it appears absolutely lost? That is that's the kind of moral courage that all the great stories are based on, and that people who have these opportunities in history become immortal over. I'm not one of those people, but when you think about the suffering of Lincoln, or the suffering of Churchill, all of that, you realize that the reason these people were so revered is not just because they won, but because they won in the face of such overwhelming adversity. And for some reason or another, this being single is just a part of it. It's just part of it's the hand, right? It's the hand. It's the hand that you're dealt, and it's the hand. I didn't come up with it was a question, and it seemed like it deserved an answer, because I know some people worry about these kind of things or think about these kind of things. Yeah, it sure would do me a world of good. I could use a little backup. I guess the final thing I'll say about this subject is I'm an awful lot more mature than I was even just a year or two ago as far as these kind of things are concerned. So many of the things I used to think were glittery and interesting and attractive and glamorous, I don't find those things that way anymore. I just there is a great deal of fool's gold in California, and you can only go at that so many times and realize that there's nothing there before you either go into that mode and chase that for the rest of your life, like so many people do out here. You finally just wake up and say, no, this is an illusion, and it's bad for you. You need to get out of there. So that's about it, I guess. In any event, I know some of these have sounded a little dark lately. I don't mean to give people. I don't want to give people the wrong impression. It's dark times. It's hard to watch these things that you love being destroyed, and especially when it's your job to get out there and just keep digging and seeing what's out there. It's not easy, as I'm sure you well know. But somebody has to do it, and this is why I don't know why I'm called to do this. I've never really understood it. Just like so many of you, maybe the reason this show works or the whole thing works for us is because I just don't feel extraordinary in any way. I'm just a guy, I mean, I really just can't bear not to be a part of it, and that's why I'd really like to get back in this game with these firewalls and try and get some of these things going, because it's hard to sit on the sidelines when you can make a difference. So, yeah, and I think the best thing about it is, we've talked about this before. I think the best thing about it is that you look at the founders and you think of them as like these demigods that just descended from, in a nimbus of glory from the clouds up in heaven. But they were just regular guys too. They were just brewers and silversmiths and small town lawyers and inventors and printers and and they just realized they just got called. They got called and they need to fight. And so we'll fight them. We'll fight them until we can't fight them anymore. And I do think we're past peak political correctness. I think we're past peak progressivism. I think we're past peak everything. I think things are changing and that people are starting to really wake up to the fact that things are really coming apart out there and we better do something about it. So somebody needs to be blowing that trumpet, and I wish there were more people who are better at it, but until they come along, I guess it'll have to be us. So that's episode 106 of the Stratosphere Lounge. Absolutely amazing. We've done this 106 times, and here we are. So let's all just be regular guys together. The one thing that gives me hope in this cycle of civilization and this appalling sense of watching things coming down and seeing how they've come down so many times before, and reading about the Romans and the fall of the Romans, the Greeks, and all that stuff. There is one difference, and that difference is what we're doing right now. And that's just regular people can talk to each other without having to go through the elites and be told what to do. It's never happened before. It's new. And I don't know if it'll be enough, but it might be. It's something to hang on to. Is this sense that, we don't have to take our cues from what the political class is telling us, and we don't have to take our information just from, CBS Evening News. We have the ability to communicate with each other on a way that no civilization has before, and we don't have to depend on our suicidal, elitist, bored, death wish politicians. There's a lot of us out there would not only just like to keep on living, we'd like to thrive and prosper a little bit. So let's see. In November of 2016, we're going to know whether things are going to get better or worse. And if they get better, then we will watch that obsidian tower collapse, and we'll look back on these days, and the more that we thought we wouldn't win, the better that victory is going to be. And if it turns out that these guys get another election, then we'll just, we'll go to Helm's Deep and we'll fight them some more, and we'll just keep fighting them until we can't fight them anymore. That is a form of comfort that is its own reward. I think even in the darkest times, this idea of this Roman Greco-Roman ideal of happiness is using all of your powers to your full ability. I think that as long as we can say that we did the best we could, and we did the best we could, there's a great deal of comfort in that. And if we're going to wrap up on Lord of the Rings, we might as well wrap up on Lord of the Rings. I'm going to keep doing this and keep fighting these people and keep trying to defend this idea of freedom and responsibility and individuality. Because whether we succeed or fail, if we do it, then we will be able to return to the halls of our fathers, in whose mighty company we shall no longer be ashamed. That's really it, I think. Is we can't control the world. We can't control the outcome. That's bigger than we are. Did we earn our place here, and did we fulfill our responsibility to those people that came before us? And I want the answer to that to be yes, no matter what the outcome is. So there you go. All right. Well, I think I'll just upload this baby right now, and I'll have to wait till it gets uploaded, and tomorrow I'll just trim the music off the front part, and then we'll make it public, and off we go. I don't know what that giant pulse was. I didn't have a chance to pay attention. I was deep in the middle of it. If somebody, as we wrap up the show, wants to tell me in the comments section, now that I can pay attention, it was just a giant spike in traffic. But in any event, thanks everybody for watching, and as always, thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com who genuinely, honestly keep these lights on. I mean, that's the actual significant truth of it. If you want to become a member, you can always do that at BillWhittle.com on the Become a Member page. If you can do it, we're very grateful. If you can't, we understand. It's tough times out there. Don't see any reason why we won't be able to do one next week. Hopefully I have some flying video, and who knows, maybe something good will happen between now and then, and even if it doesn't, we're just going to keep going on until it does. So for everybody here in the Giant Command Center at BillWhittle.com, yeah, it's pretty much me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the fun, and we will see you next time.